Back in 1964, Howard McIntyre and I, thinking we'd put our rowing behind us, thought we'd invent a new kind of a regatta, see if it might work. And we had we went and we spoke with a number of people in the rowing committee at the Cambridge Boat Club, and they thought it was okay to do such a thing. And we got a hold of Davis Taylor, who's from the Boston Globe, and he said he would be interested in us doing this. So we went down to the U.S. rowing meeting in New York, and we announced that we were going to do this, and we got their blessing, and we declared it was going to be a classic in its own right. And the odd thing is the New York Times printed that, which was extraordinary, since the regatta had not even been held. But we met with Ernie Areld in December of 1964. Ernie Areld was the Englishman whom I'd met when I was down at Penn in Philadelphia. And he had been brought up here by Harvard to coach sculling at Weld Boat Club. And he had just taken on the job of Northeastern's head crew coach, a fledgling program there. So we met with Ernie Areld out at Howard's kitchen in Wellesley, 1964, on a cold winter night over some Danish beer, and we picked Ernie's brain about how head of the river racing worked, because what we wanted to do was to take advantage of this narrow part of the river here, which isn't really disturbed terribly by wind. And so we rounded up our friends at the Cambridge Boat Club, and we decided we appointed people to do this and do that and run the timing and run the entries, and off we went. And it was a very shaky start, because the clocks we used had been invented just for this event by one of our members, and one of the big dials, there were 3 big dials on the finish line, one for hours, one for minutes, and one for seconds. And when the race was all over, we were up at the top of 1010 Memorial Drive in the penthouse, which is unfinished at the time, announcing the results and handing out the prizes. We discovered, because of all the protests we were hearing, that there was something wrong with our timing system. So we gave out the prizes to all the wrong people, but we declared we will find out what went wrong, and sure enough, what we discovered was that the minute hand on the clock was loose, and that it stayed down at the bottom of the clock for a whole minute before it started up the other side. So depending on what that hand was doing when you happened to cross the finish line, you either were given an advantage or you were given a disadvantage. So we figured it out, and Baron Watson, who had invented the whole timing system, went back and very, very carefully reconstructed the entire day, and we got the right results. And we tried our best to get the medals back from those to whom we'd given them, and some did and some didn't, but we got medals to everybody who really did have the fastest time. The allure of the head of the Charles, I think, is that no matter who you are, you aren't embarrassed by being way behind, because nobody can tell whether you're way behind or not. And so we have out here a peculiar mix of Olympic champions and complete neophytes rowing on the same water, not perhaps in the same event division, but nevertheless, it's wonderful for people who are just catching the bug of rowing to say, I was up the head of the Charles, and you know, there are Olympians up there racing along with me. So I hadn't rowed for quite a long time. I certainly haven't been in the regatta for the last 25 years. And so trying to get, I was in it yesterday. I didn't tip over, I didn't hit anybody, I didn't hit any bridges. I passed some people passed me, so I must have been in the thick of it somewhere.